Let's move on to our top story this morning. Ministers planning to create a league table to show migrant nationalities with the highest crime rates.
The proposal is backed by senior Tory MPs and requires the statistics in England and Wales to be published annually.
Well, if implemented, the new rules would allow the Home Office to have stricter visa and deportation policies. Robert Jenrick, who up until fairly recently was Immigration Minister, put forward the plan. Here's what he had to say.
I want the most honest and transparent debate about immigration, legal or illegal, that we can possibly have. And it is wrong that the government or other agencies hide statistics. I have laid an amendment to the upcoming criminal justice bill, which tackles one of these issues, and it says that the government must publish statistics on crimes and sentences by country of origin and by visa and asylum status. I think that the public want to know who's coming into our country and what the economic, the fiscal and the societal impact of immigration is.
Joining us now in the studio is political commentator Andy Williams. Andy, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Now, from what I understand, Denmark already has a system like this in place, and this has sort of inspired this idea.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think this is the biggest gimmick I have heard yet in terms of this government's, and excuse me, I know Robert Jenrick is no longer a member of the government, but the idea that this is a way to actually tackle the problem, if you see it as a problem, of mass migration into Britain, this is not tackling the problem at source. This is just saying we're going to publish a list which is only going to serve to demonise, let's be honest, it's going to demonise the nationalities and the people from those countries who come at the top of that list. It's not a substitute. It's not going to solve the problem. I mean, I just completely despair at this. I think it's pretty grotesque, actually.
But information is power. I guess that's the argument. Transparency is important. And maybe it'll debunk some of the theories that crime is being driven by illegal migration. Maybe it'll change the philosophy on that.
That's a really nice idea, Stephen, but you know for a fact that is not going to happen. What's going to happen is that this list will be published every year and the people from those countries will be demonised. That is what's going to happen. And it is just not, it's not a solution. Information is power if it actually helps to solve a problem. Robert Jenrick has not explained whatsoever how this is going to help.
The devil is in the details, isn't it? And in Denmark, as you say quite rightly, the listing does say that, it's migrants from Tunisia, Lebanon and Somalia. So it plays into that racist element.
Well, that's my point, is if, let's say this was introduced and let's say Tunisia come top of the list. So now Britain knows that the highest crime rates are among migrants. And by the way, we're talking about legal migration here. That's the other thing. We're talking about people who have come to this country legally. So let's say Tunisia comes top of the list. So what have we learned? Genuinely, what have we learned? And what are we going to do about it? We're going to deport all Tunisians? Of course not.
Yes, but the argument is this will allow the Home Office to have stricter visa and deportation rules. Well, maybe it means you've got to look at people coming from Tunisia more closely. That's not necessarily a bad thing, is it?
I think the reality is this government has been talking about for many, many years getting net migration down into the tens of thousands. We're now at 700,000. They've said they're going to stop the boats. They have not. They are introducing this ludicrous Rwanda policy that is not going to work, that is going to cost up to £620 million. And at the moment, not a single person has got on a flight. Even if you think it's a good idea, there is no evidence of it. Where is the solution? This is just Robert Jenrick, let's be honest, positioning himself for the Tory leadership. That's what it is.
And it was interesting because in the interview he also said that, talking about legal migration, he didn't explain how this system would work if it came into place, how you would sort of have tougher sanctions on some countries. But he also said that he never had a conversation with Rishi Sunak about legal migration in all the time he was doing the job. Robert
Jenrick's not a serious figure. He's just not. It's ridiculous. I mean, I absolutely despair that this is absolutely, it says everything you need to know about a party and a government that's totally out of ideas. Where's the solution?
All right.
No, hang on.
No, that's a valid point. Where is the solution? And I do think the demonising issue is something that would really need to be looked at very strongly with this. However, the point is people are fed up, people are desperate for ideas, And actually no political party's actually got a solution to this.
And one thing I accept is it's really hard. This is a complicated problem. So if you have a complicated problem, you need to meet it with a sophisticated solution, not let's publish a list. I mean, honestly.
And how much money is it going to cost to compile that list as well?
Well, more than it should if the Home Office has anything to do with it.
Well, I don't think we can argue on that point.
No.
All right, Andy, we'll speak to you later on. Thanks very much indeed. Well, I'm sure you've got a view on that. gbviews@gbnews.com. People are I think the problem is people are desperate to hear something happening on this.
Yeah, I mean...
And so maybe you look at that and you go, oh, well, that would give us a bit more information, a bit more of a clue as to what's going on.
But what do you do with that information? That's where we're not quite sure where this one goes.
Well, I do think information is power, but I do think you do have to be careful that you don't then demonise and say everyone coming from whatever country it is is a criminal.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's not true.
Yeah, but we know how important this is to people. So in the Red Wall voters, you know, the sort of like, you know, the 2019 voting for Brexit voters and voting for Boris Johnson, they really care about this issue.
Well, of course. But as Andy says, you do need an answer to this. We haven't got one at the minute.